Okay, so get this. Today, we're doing a deep dive right into immunology.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you're here, so you've got some kind of interest in this whole world. Maybe you're even thinking about a career in it, so we're going to take you way beyond the textbooks, really unpack what it actually means to be an immunologist.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating world to unpack, that's for sure. I always say immunology, it's like a detective work.
Oh,
But instead of like, chasing down criminals, you're actually tracing those like intricate pathways, of the body's whole defense system.
I love that. That's a great analogy. But instead of like dusty clues and fingerprints, we're talking like cells and antibodies.
Exactly, yeah.
So like what's a typical day even like for an immunologist? What are we talking about? What's happening in those labs?
Oh, you got to be thinking like cutting edge technology, right?
Yeah.
Things like genomics and proteomics.
Okay.
These are tools that basically allow immunologists to get down to like the molecular level, analyze the immune system's response to different diseases.
Okay, hold on. Genomics, I kind of get, right? Yeah. Analyzing someone's DNA to figure out their like predispositions. But proteomics, what is that?
Oh, it's a great question. Yeah, so proteomics, it's basically the study of all the proteins, right, in a cell, a tissue, even like a whole organism.
Okay.
And it's important to remember, DNA, it's like the blueprint, right?
Right.
But proteins are like, they're the real workers, right? They're the ones on the ground, in the cell, carrying out this huge range of functions.
So it's like the difference between like reading about how to bake a cake and actually like baking the cake.
Exactly. Like you can read the recipe all you want, but the proteins, they're the ones actually mixing the batter, preheating the oven, making it all happen.
I like it.
So by studying proteins, immunologists, they can really understand how that immune system actually responds when there's a threat. Could be a virus, a bacteria, whatever. Like they can actually pinpoint the specific proteins that get produced when you get an infection, and that can help, develop new therapies, vaccines, all that good stuff.
So it's like having a detailed map, but not just of the battlefield, but of all the troops and weapons involved in the immune system's fight.
Spot on.
Oh.
That's a great way to put it. And that kind of analysis, that's what leads to those groundbreaking discoveries.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, not too long ago, scientists using these techniques, they were able to find this totally new type of immune cell, right? And it turns out it plays a key role in fighting cancer.
Wow.
And a discovery like that just opens up all these new possibilities, right? For how we treat cancer, how we develop even better therapies. It's huge.
That's incredible. Talk about real world impact.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's be real. It can't all be, groundbreaking discoveries and scientific breakthroughs every day. What's the work-life balance really like for an immunologist? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. No, it's demanding. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You're often working long hours under a good amount of pressure to get those results. And yeah, I mean, let's be honest, there's always the possibility of being exposed to infectious diseases.
Right.
It's not for the faint of heart. You got to have a real passion for it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This is not like a 9-to-5 kind of gig. So what kind of person actually thrives in this kind of environment?
You really have to be driven by curiosity, A genuine passion for understanding how the immune system works, all its complexities. It's intellectually stimulating, for sure. Always learning, always pushing the boundaries, and of course, the potential, right? To really make a difference, help people fight disease. I mean, that's huge.
So you're saying it takes a certain kind of person to be an immunologist. What are some of those key skills, those qualities that someone would need to really succeed in this field? What should our listeners be thinking about if they're, considering this path? So it sounds like a pretty demanding field to get into for our listeners out there who are like even more intrigued by immunology now. What does the path to actually becoming one look like?
Well, it all starts with a really good, solid educational foundation.
Okay.
So a bachelor's degree in a relevant field, right? So we're talking biology, microbiology, biochemistry, something like that. That's usually like the first step, right?
Okay, so hitting the books is like non-negotiable. But what about after that initial degree? Is it straight into a master's program, or are there other avenues people can explore?
Yeah, no, a master's can be great for sure. A good way to specialize even further. But honestly, nothing beats, just getting that hands-on experience. Look for research assistant positions, maybe try to get some internships in different labs. Really anything that'll let you actually apply all that knowledge you just learned and develop those real practical lab skills.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's one thing to like understand the theory, right? But actually being in the lab, doing experiments, analyzing all that data, that's a whole other ballgame, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's where you really get to put those critical thinking skills to the test, right?
Right.
You got to problem solve on the fly, and Plus, getting that experience early on, it can help you narrow down like what area of immunology you really want to focus on.
Because there are so many different paths you can take, right? Even just within the field of immunology.
Oh, tons. I mean, are you drawn to, more of the clinical side, working with patients directly,
Yeah.
helping diagnose and treat immune disorders?
Right.
Or maybe you're more fascinated by the research side, spending your days in the lab, running experiments, maybe even developing totally new
So
therapies.
it's like choosing your fighter class in a video game,
Right.
right? Like, will you be the healer? Focusing on clinical immunology, or the alchemist, like brewing up new discoveries in a research lab.
I like that. Yeah, that's a fun way to think about it.
Yeah.
And there's so many other classes to choose from too, right? Allergology, transplant immunology, tumor immunology. I mean, the list goes on, each one with its own set of, challenges and rewards.
So, okay, let's say you've put in the years, right? You did the studying, honed your skills, maybe you've even published some research.
Yeah.
How do you actually land that dream job, especially in such a competitive field?
Networking. That's key, honestly. And I gotta say, this is where a platform like RoleCatcher can really be a game changer.
Okay, RoleCatcher, yeah, we've been hearing that name a lot lately. What is that? How does it work?
So RoleCatcher, they actually use AI, right?
Oh,
It analyzes those job descriptions and then it gives you like tailored feedback on your CV or your resume.
wow.
So instead of just like sending out these generic applications, you can actually highlight those specific skills, those experiences that those employers are really looking for. It's kind of like having a secret weapon, honestly, for the whole job hunt.
So it's kind of like having like a personalized career coach,
Right.
in your pocket.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a great way to put it. And beyond that, RoleCatcher, it actually connects you, right, to a whole network of employers who are specifically seeking out, people with immunology skills.
Yep.
It just streamlines the whole process, takes a lot of the stress out of the job search for sure.
I can definitely see how that would be super valuable, especially, in a field that's as specialized as immunology.
Yeah.
But even with those like digital tools, good old-fashioned networking, that still holds its own, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, attending conferences, for example, that's huge, honestly. It's a chance to like immerse yourself, right?
Yeah.
In the latest research, connect with other experts, maybe even find a mentor while you're at
So
it.
it's all about building those relationships, making those connections. It's like they always say, it's not always what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Although I feel like in a field like immunology, it's probably a bit of both, right?
Yeah, you definitely need both. You hit the nail on the head. And that sense of community, right? Like that's something else that you'll find in professional organizations, like, the American Association of Immunologists, for example.
Right.
They offer all these amazing resources, mentorship opportunities, a chance to just, connect with other people who get it, who are passionate about the same things that you are.
So there's like a real support system out there, for all those aspiring immunologists. But let's maybe shift gears a bit. It's easy to kind of get caught up in the whole like career aspects of this.
Yeah.
But at its core, why does immunology really matter? Like, what's the bigger picture here? Yeah, it's easy to get like really caught up in the science and the career path and all that. But when you zoom out, I mean, immunology is really about like protecting lives, right? Improving global health. That's the big picture.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like immunology is the silent guardian, for public health.
Yeah, I like that.
You think about the impact of vaccines, right?
Right.
I mean, diseases like smallpox, polio, these things that used to terrify parents and honestly like reshape entire societies, they're practically gone. I mean, at least in many parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
You don't even hear about them anymore. And that's the power of immunology right there.
It's easy to forget, right? Like just how impactful something like a vaccine can be until you actually stop and think about it. Like these are diseases that, wiped out entire populations. And now, thanks to immunology, they're like fading into the history books.
It's amazing. And it's not just about those past victors either, right? Immunologists are at the forefront, like right now, combating brand new diseases. We saw this with COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when a new threat pops up, like it's the immunologists who are in the lab,
Right.
working around the clock, trying to understand how this virus, how this bacteria, how whatever it is, how it works, how it's attacking the body, and then how do we actually starve it? How do we develop treatments? How do we develop vaccines? I mean, they're the ones kind of behind the scenes, keeping us all safe from those invisible enemies.
So it's like they're the immune systems, like special forces, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Always ready to go, fight whatever new threat emerges. What are you most excited about when you think about the future of immunology? What's on the horizon? What are you looking forward to?
Oh man. I mean, the future is wide open, honestly. It's like brimming with possibilities. We're entering this whole new era of personalized medicine
Okay.
where treatments can be tailored to an individual's immune system. Like, imagine, a world where chronic diseases, right? Things like rheumatoid arthritis, even cancer, could potentially be managed effectively with therapies designed specifically for you, your own like personal immune system toolkit.
Yeah, that
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
like something out of science fiction, honestly.
Mm.
And to think, like, our listeners out there, they could be a part of actually making that a reality.
Exactly. I mean, it's such an exciting time to be in this field. We're on the verge of like these major breakthroughs. Who knows what amazing discoveries are just around the corner.
That's so cool.
It's a field that's, driven by curiosity, by innovation, by this real deep desire to just make the world a better place, honestly.
I love it. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive, I have
Hmm.
to say. I've learned so much. And, for anyone out there, even if you're just a little bit curious about immunology, I hope this has been, eye-opening and maybe, just maybe, a little bit inspiring. I mean, it's a challenging field. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But the potential rewards, both for you, intellectually and in terms of like what you can do, for the world, improving global health, they're huge. So keep learning, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to unlock the next big breakthrough. The future of immunology could be in your hands.